live.
We are live, Grace.
Hi.
Hello, world. Woo! I today, Unstoppable Tracy, have my fun FANA friend feeling festive with you all, having the whole fundraising F vibe. We have a positive F bomb today. Fun, fundraising, friend, FANA. FANA is an orphanage for abandoned children, and my magical go-getter of a thriving friend is here today because she let me know. I learned way after the fact that she happens to be one of these lucky orphans that have come out of FANA. Grace, thank you for joining us all today.
Thank you. I'm like so honored and flattered and so grateful for you taking time out of your day, Tracy. You're an inspiration to me and the world. So being here live with you is so incredible. Thank you.
The feeling is mutual. You know, Grace is such a friend. Right beforehand, we were being a little bit playful with each other. And I'm like, glasses, no glasses. And in case people are busy in the comments, I threw on the glasses. And then I discovered that my glasses only have their right arm. I'm like, I am destined to be right armed. There's something very right about that, right? Like I think the right arm and the whole business of it all. And I think this is what I love about Grace is that I get to laugh with her and we get to grow together and we hold each other high. You know, we really do. And one of the reasons we hold each other high is that we love to be difference makers. And Grace inspired me, enrolled me in the thought of let's raise like well over 30,000 for these orphans that are abandoned. And then later it came out she was one of them. So I have hello, Kathy. It is so great. We love you too, Kathy. And Grace, this is my friend Kathy. And notice she spells her last name SCH. And I spell my last name SCH. And I'm going to make that sassy cats hallelujah. And I've lost Grace. And so I am positive that Grace is going to hit the link again and join again, and I will get her back in the stream. But she is so excited. I'm going to get Grace back in the room. There she is. Hello, Grace. Popping
Sorry. I tapped the wrong button. I apologize, everyone.
No. It created suspense. It was exactly the right button. Like, where'd she go? Is she coming back? That's what would have happened at FANA. She could have easily disappeared. And we never know. But because of FANA, she got to pop back in.
I'm here.
It's all symbolic, right?
I am here. Yes, that was so funny. I apologize for
no,
that.
No apologies. And look, she's like sideways and upside down.
I'm like trying to. Okay, Tracy, I'm done. I'm so sorry. Focus.
Are you kidding? Okay. It is so fun. It is so playful. So, folks, we are raising money today for FANA, for the abandoned orphans in FANA. And of course, you can see that we know it's that time of year where we get to be a little bit extra fun and joyous out there. And yet it's a heart-centered time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a really big request of Grace. And she stepped up. She said yes. And so she is very kindly going to share her story. Grace, I had no idea that you were an adopted orphan.
Yes.
So I know you don't know my world, but it is very loving. It is so loving. So would you kindly share with the world a little bit about your life's journey?
Yeah, totally. Hi, everyone who knows Tracy. I'm blessed to be part of your world now, and Tracy's. Truly blessed. And I am 29 years old, and almost 30 years ago, I was placed for adoption out of FANA, which stands for the Foundation for the Assistance of Abandoned Children It is located in a suburb outside of Bogota, the capital of Colombia in South America. The suburb does have 2 million people, so it is a large suburb. And I like to, I mean, people often have this, there's so many different orphanages around the world, but this orphanage is truly a safe haven. It's in a beautiful space, up kind of in the Andes Mountains. It's right there,
Ah,
and it's green, and it has flowers and green space for the children. It's a beautiful facility of community and love, and so it is a beautiful safe haven for these children. And so if you can picture the most beautiful like resort you could think of, with palm trees and flowers and plants and laughter, that is what FANA encompasses.
ah,
And my biological mother was very young. She was 17 when
oh,
she had me,
yeah.
and she came from a section southeast of the capital. And she traveled up to FANA, and she was able to receive prenatal care. So, something really beautiful that FANA does is it supports the women and houses them, giving them prenatal care. A lot of the women come uneducated, or they really struggle in poverty. So they take care of the mothers, make sure they're healthy, but they also teach the staff and volunteers at FANA help support these young mothers, with vocational skills and teaching them skills so when they leave, after being heartbroken and shattered and low, they leave with dignity and skills to go back into the world and make a difference. And at FANA, the mothers, when they create what they're learning in the gift shop, they actually sell those products. So it's a full circle. So my mother did get prenatal care. I was born in a hospital and taken to FANA, where I spent um, the first 12 and a half weeks in FANA being taken care of by nurses and staff. And it was so incredible. I was born in March of 1993, and I came to the United States by my adopted family in June of 1993. I flew from Bogota to Miami with my dad, and from Miami, we flew into LaGuardia Airport in New York, and that was my Ellis Island. That is where I made my debut and lived in Long Island. And then I moved and grew up in Connecticut. But what's so amazing is that my story, I was an infant. I'm a US citizen. English is my first language. I grew up privileged. My mom and dad gave me everything. There was never a moment where I didn't know when the next meal was coming. I had a roof over my head. I had food to eat. I had friends. I had clothes. I joined clubs. I could play sports. I
Ah,
had played the piano. So my parents gave me the world,
yeah.
and I was educated. I went to college. I have a job. I was set up for success. And with that comes a lot of gratitude and understanding of giving back and making that difference. With Tracy and I, we really align with giving back the world. Tracy, you've seen the world, my goodness. And
Ah,
how lucky and rich I feel compared to the rest of the world. And so it's imperative for me as I reach 30 years old. I'm filled with so much love and gratitude to give back. And so Fauna, what we're up to, Tracy and I, is and some of our closest friends, is we're raising $30,000
yeah.
for, yeah, it's crazy. And it's doable, and we're so close. And what it's for is something that I recently learned and I had no idea. But to this day, there's been over 14,000 children positively affected by fauna.
Mhm.
And there's over 12,000 children who have been placed for adoption through fauna, including myself.
Mhm.
And so, with that, fauna also acts as a safe haven for community of foster care.
Yeah.
Some of the children are not available for adoption while they await legal situations from their parents, whether it's drug related, incarceration, or whatever it may be. And with that, FANA supports the children and the staff with
Yes.
internal and external mental health services.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
where our $30,000 is going is to continue to support FANA's efforts, training staff, hiring psychologists and trained professionals in social workers, external therapists,
Yes.
because what happens is some of these children, and Tracy knows this because I've been talking to her, but
Yeah.
some of these children come in and they are aggressive. They're incredibly smart on the street. They're survivors, and they don't understand how to self-regulate from a young age like we would. And
Yeah.
so these psychologists are so important to help children and teenagers learn how to self-regulate,
Yeah.
learn how to understand the word no without being aggressive and
Yeah.
physical,
Yeah.
learn how to get through their trauma. Some of it can be the feeling of abandonment, having a parent that's incarcerated, drug related, and learning the skills and tools to understand adversity. And
Mm.
so we are raising the money to continue to support that framework of mental health internally and externally for the staff and children at FANA. And
Yes.
it's something that is absolutely essential. And I've been speaking with FANA, Tracy, and I asked them, what happens if you don't have the funding?
Yeah.
What would happen? And she said these children would be incarcerated.
Oh.
These children and teenagers would be riddled on drugs. They'd be
Mm.
walking zombies. They wouldn't have a second opportunity to excel in school.
Oh.
They wouldn't have the opportunity to go back into society as a contributing human.
Right.
And she says it would break their hearts
Yeah.
because they deserve it, because we all deserve the opportunity to fit in, be educated, and have a chance. And I
Yeah.
certainly was so lucky to be given a second chance in life. And
Yes.
so that is why we are here today. I have a biological or a non-biological brother, by the way. He's 30, almost 33 years old. We are
Older
not
brother.
biological siblings, but he is also adopted from
Oh.
FANA.
Oh.
Yep. And so my mom and dad have truly, they have given their heart and soul to FANA as well. And it just, the, I can't even explain, like we talk about some of the numbers, and right now FANA has nearly 100 children living there full time. And what that means, and there's a lot of babies out there.
100
There's
so
a lot
many
of,
babies.
and they're all waiting good homes, but they will go through 77,000 diapers.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And they will also spend around $360 per child per year. And they do spend $115 on average per child every month.
Every month.
There
For
is a lot going on. Yeah. And this is still, this is just a beautiful place that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that. I might be somewhere else in the world, but I would not be here.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of my story.
Oh my gosh, Grace. And your story is attracting people far and wide. Like I'm here in Canada. We have Cincinnati Picker John on the
Hi,
line
John.
there saying hello. And you're just like flabbergasting me. It is mind blowing and magical. Like the hair, you can't see it on the camera, but the hair on my arm is standing up.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. It's like, oh my gosh. I think of like Jamaica and Uganda and Mexico and
Mm-hmm.
Nepal. And I've seen orphans in all of these places, abandoned orphans, and people
Mm-hmm.
doing their best effort to be an ally. But none of them can describe it the way you're describing in this like healthy environment, and it includes psychologists to get people set up for success, and it's just unbelievable like how far FANA has come. How long have they been around?
So it's a big year for them. And it's in the works, Tracy, but I'm planning
Yes.
to go to FANA
Oh,
myself with my mom and dad in February of
oh,
2023.
wow.
And it is their 50-year anniversary. It's a big year for them.
Holy cow. 50 years. Holy cow. Wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. Wow. I mean, and that just shows how established they are. I think, I've been doing all sorts of things like a 50-50 draw, and John's done a singing contest. If you can stump him, he would donate. If you didn't, he would donate. And people have been doing auction items like paintings and classic comics and collector baseball cards. Like, so many people are getting together. We had another friend doing a fun walk. Like, she had heels and tissue boxes and ski boots, and she was going to walk through a trail for a mile, and that's how she was fundraising. And we're really close now, right? We're at about
Hmm.
25,000. And when you were speaking, I was trying to get in the comments the donation link. Please forgive me for looking like I was multitasking, because I was listening and making sure people knew in the comments where to go to donate.
Oh,
And
yeah. Do not worry.
we are close. Like, what is I'd like to hit the link in the comments. Like, where are we at? Are we at 25,000 as
We're
far as you know?
past.
We're past.
We're past 26,000 now.
So we are
Hmm.
4,000 away from our 30,000 target.
Yep.
4,000, folks. Oh my gosh, there we go. Tammy walked a mile in swim flippers. John is saying that's so fun.
That is so, and you know what, Tracy? This just hit my mind. You
What?
talk about going around the world, but you are so worldly and you have seen some of the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
And what I always found so fascinating, and I will say this not usually as a whole, and I've seen it in Colombian culture, and I know other Hispanic cultures are like this to an extent. Um, when you're there, and I've been to Colombia when I was 13, I've been there, it's extremely family oriented. That
Mhm.
culture, the Hispanic culture, is extremely focused on family and
Yep.
community. And
Yep.
I know there are others out there, but when I go and you see how dedicated the nurses, the volunteers, the staff are to the children as their own,
Yeah.
it's nothing you've ever experienced. And I have cousins who are adopted from Russia, and
Oh,
their story was not even close to
no.
mine. And
No.
so it's very
Yeah.
humbling. And my dad was the one who took me home from Colombia to New York,
Mm.
and he said that when I was leaving I had a respiratory infection, like I had a cough as a
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah.
and he was tired and he's traveling, and he tells me that on these Spanish airlines like an Avianca, or I think that, or something similar, that the stewardess literally offered my dad. He said they carried me up and down the aisles for the entire flight so I would be like, that is the level of community. It doesn't matter if you're their child or a child of the country. They are so focused on community. And I know that's not always the case, and
No.
Colombia has a lot of people, and
Yeah.
in the capital it
Yeah.
definitely varies, but it always made me feel really good knowing I was taken care of beautifully. And my
Yeah.
mother would always tell me that at all of my checkups, like my little baby checkups once I got to New York, every doctor would tell her, this child has been beautifully cared for. That
No.
when I was passed around from person to person, I was at ease, that I wasn't very fussy, that I could self soothe from a very young age because I
Yeah.
was in a crib by myself with a lot of
Right.
other babies. And so I thought those are beautiful signs of strangers to tell my mom
Yes.
was beautifully cared for the first 12 and a half weeks of her life. They really took beautiful care of her. And so I just like, that is always sits with me. And just to reemphasize, like, oh my goodness, I know, like, when I think of around the world, there's certain countries
Oh,
where, like I said, Uganda and Nepal, like it does
I've
not
seen it.
have
Yeah.
that.
I go to these and I see like 4 children in a crib and
Mm,
and not clean diapers and flies all over their faces and it's almost and they're numb to crying now because the crying doesn't even support. Like the
mm,
fact that you're crying because of your cough is a really healthy sign as well because you know that this is uncomfortable and somebody might be able to make a difference.
yeah.
Is so incredible.
Mhm,
It's amazing. And people out there are supporting, commenting, you're a phenomenal difference maker, Grace. And I'm so glad to be on this mission with you, with the Amber and the John out there that are in the comments, celebrating the fact that we are really close to 27,000 for $3,000 more. We could be at our 30,000 target, and that it really does. It's a $10 donation, $100 donation, a $50 donation, and they are really that it's all these little tiny donations that are adding up and making a big difference. So please don't feel like any donation is too small. You can
mhm,
make a huge impact when around the world we all do this. And you know, the other piece that I love about doing this, Grace, and you've probably felt this too, is sometimes when we are feeling lonely and sad and at our wits' end, and we know it's not so bad in our own lives. And so this is not a comparison conversation, but that whole space of when you focus out, and even
mhm,
when you're overwhelmed. And sometimes we feel like I am too overwhelmed, I am too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too broke. And that scarcity space and pain. But when we flip it and focus outward, like I have been so lucky to experience the magic of abundance because of focusing outward. You know, this whole time, supporting you in this FANA fundraising campaign and being part of the 15 leaders that are on a maniac mission to make a difference here in fun in this friendship fundraiser container together, that this abundance of love and abundance of speaking stages and abundance of community have all been showing up. And I really believe because we've been focusing outward on fauna, on
mhm.
Grace's fauna, on this beautiful, really outstanding, loving. Look at that, Sarah. Thank you for saying Magic of Abundance is so
Ah,
great to have these great people out there watching and joining us. Did anything come up for you when I was on my soapbox of how much of an impact fauna has had on me just by being generous in your world?
yeah, I mean, you you remind me that there's nothing you can do that's too small. And when you start to just take action, you yeah, you create this magic and abundance. And at Fauna, it's like, oh, how did that you might think the orphanage just existed, right? But no, it started 50 years ago by a woman named Mercedes.
Oh,
Mercedes sadly passed away in 2012. I
oh,
met her when I was there. She
oh,
passed away, and yeah, very young. I think me and I don't hold me to this, but I can double check, but I think in her late 70s, so young. And this is how the orphanage started. A vision. And we talk about vision. Like, do you have a vision? I had a vision with you all to make a difference for my orphanage, and here we are by taking action. And her vision, when she was married and she realized she couldn't have children of her own, she started to look at adoption, but Colombia at the time, and at least in Bogota, didn't have any sort of concrete organization on adopting children within Colombia. Her
oh.
first daughter is adopted from Canada.
What?
Mhm.
Canada?
Yeah, she had to go to Canada to adopt her daughter, and
Oh,
yeah, adopted another daughter. So her two children are adopted, and they now, Elena, who I've been talking to, she's Mercedes' daughter and took over Fauna. But she thought, how sad. that I had to go to Canada when I see abandoned children in the streets of Colombia. So what
Yeah,
she started to do was take the abandoned children off the street and put them in her own house.
yeah.
And then what she did is she enlisted and enrolled her neighbors, family, cousins,
Oh,
friends. Hey, and she would be like, "Hey, I have this child. Will you come help me? I have this child. Will you come help me feed them? What do we need?" And enlisted an army of people to
oh, wow.
support her. And as she got more and more children and more support and more help, and the word got out, then saved money, enough money to buy the first house. The rent, she rented a space, and then she started getting staff and medical staff, and it grew and
Oh,
grew and grew. And
and
her
now,
vision, yeah, and now, I mean, FANA today, which was built like, it's newer, but it's like 10 years plus, I think they were telling me, and I could be wrong there. But it's like a $2 million facility. We're not
wow.
talking about like a shack or no,
No.
it's state of the art. It's a school. It's like I said, it's housing for the mothers. There's a lot going on there. And
Oh,
but it came from her dream and vision. And now over 14,000 children have had changed lives, including
14,000.
myself,
Oh,
because she decided the children of Colombia should have a way, or for Colombians to adopt within their own country, or for the
yeah.
world to
Yeah.
have an opportunity.
Like
That's how it started.
you in New York, and Grace, I don't know if you know, but we have like Frankfurt. There's a Milka, a Micah on the line. I think it's my friend,
Ger-
and
Germany?
yes, from Germany.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it is Milka. Look at that. Hello, Milka.
Hello.
And so, she's making a difference with her neighbor, and then all of Colombia, and then North American Colombia, and now like around the world. Like,
Yeah,
holy
there are children. I know
cow.
a lot of children are actually been adopted in France.
Oh,
That's a big country for fauna. The United States, Canada, and France are like three really massive places where adoptions have gone through. I
yes.
think that's very interesting. A lot of their magazines, like La Jolla, is a quarterly or a month, maybe a monthly or quarterly magazine. It's actually in English, Spanish, and French.
Oh,
So there are a lot of children that are adopted to France, and I just can't believe how lucky I am with
yeah.
my family. I love my family so much, and it was always meant to be that I was meant to be with them, and
Oh,
it's just crazy.
yes, it is totally crazy. And exactly the way it's meant to be. Like
Yeah.
we are so lucky that you get to be with us today and having a bit of fun
Oh yeah.
festivities, but also like sharing the fun raiser of
Mhm.
what's going on and the reality there, and how we can
Yeah.
make a big difference with a really credible organization that isn't just surviving, it's thriving and can really
It's
stretch those dollars and
yeah.
make a big impact with them.
It's
And so,
thrive.
yeah,
Yeah, this is a good place. Like I said, a safe haven. It is a place of refugee for many, and these children depend, I mean, even in the community and the neighborhoods,
yeah.
these children are able to receive housing, clothing, food, shelter,
Oh,
to um, really lean into FANA's programs for them, even if they are not being placed for adoption. It is a place that brings people together, and I cannot wait to go back and
no.
walk through the facility again. Look at the children, be present with the children,
Yes.
the nursing. I think this is the most incredible piece. I can't wait to share this. So there is a photo of me being held by the nurse, Elizabeth.
Oh,
Elizabeth was the one who took care of me the most. And when I was 13 years old and went back with my family, Elizabeth was still there.
yes.
And and she asked about me, and she called me by my birth name.
Which
So
was,
here, everybody, I'm Grace.
yeah.
But of course, when I was a baby, I didn't have the name Grace, and I had a little baby bracelet. And my biological birth name is Clemencia. And so,
Clemencia.
yeah, and on the bracelet, so she referred to me as Clemencia.
Oh.
And I recently asked if she was still there. I said, I'm
Yeah.
coming in February or in 2023. Does Elizabeth still work there? And they said, yes, she volunteers still. So I will have a picture with Elizabeth at baby 13 and 30 years old, nearly 30 years old.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that.
And
Magical. Oh,
I
that's like
think
heartwarming.
heartwarming because if you think of putting yourself in their shoes,
Yeah.
they, these nurses and volunteers, you're a baby. You're family to them, and it is extremely difficult for them to be attached for a certain amount of time and then let you go into the world,
Yeah.
not knowing what's going to happen to you, right? Like they know it's a good family, but they don't know where you go.
No.
And so that forever they're just in they're all these babies are in their hearts, and they just hope that they go into society and live a happy and long life. And
Yeah.
when we come back, you can literally, Tracy, feel their emotion.
Yeah.
Feel it. They
Yes.
can't believe it's emotional because they can't believe that you're in the flesh as an adult
Yes.
when they took
Happy,
care of you.
healthy, thriving life is so, and that they like volunteering their time and being there. Like the dollars don't go to every single, like there's a lot of volunteers that are making it work. Like the
Yeah.
dollars are going to the diapers or going to the food
Mhm.
or going to the extraordinary psychologists that are helping
Mhm.
bridge the gaps to certain behavioral skills and set them up for
Mhm.
success for a happy transition. And it's so great that we have Cincinnati Pickard there online, John and Nancy. Thanks for listening. And whether you're donating or not, it makes a really big difference to throw a note in the comment, because by putting it in the comment, it lets all the people in your world know that you care. And caring with dollars is a big help. $10, $100, every dollar makes a difference. And the links are in the chat, but also spreading awareness out there
Mhm.
that if maybe you can't donate $100 right now, but by saying we care and this is amazing, it lets the Facebook feed know and the LinkedIn feed know that you think it's important, and someone else might see this and donate because you've commented and because you've liked. And it's so great. So wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm seeing some private photos here. Is that you, Grace?
Oh my
Or
gosh. Wait, I can't see, but probably. What are we seeing? I literally don't know. I'm on a phone and I can't see like the
let's
chat.
do
What's the
another.
photo? Describe it to me.
Well, I'm not seeing the photos either. So, but I do have Unstoppable Tracy team support, who is also
Okay.
like volunteering her time. She has a new baby herself, and she has a
Oh.
3-year-old, and she is juggling all sorts of personal health things with her 2 new babies
Oh
and
my
on
goodness.
her home,
Okay.
because her husband is in hospital too, and it's just making it work. And she is volunteering today, helping me with the chat and the comments out there as representing Unstoppable Tracy, because she is an unstoppable soul out there,
Mhm.
and I feel really lucky to have her. So we'll find out whether we've
It
got
probably is me.
her, or okay, good.
But Tracy, this is so incredible. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you.
You have a powerful voice and an incredible story, and I think we just forget to tell our stories. And what a big difference. Like it's second nature to me, right? Oh, I'm adopted. It's no, like we have this opportunity to really make a change for others with
Yes,
our stories, and no matter what your story is, your voice matters. And
yes.
so I'm truly blessed to be in your presence, to have met you, to, forever be associated with you in friendship.
Forever.
And if there's do you have any other questions for me?
Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. So many questions. So did you, and this is maybe not even relevant,
Okay.
like, so when did you find out that you were adopted? Did you
Great
know all your life?
question.
Yeah.
Great question. I knew my entire life. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you. My parents have done a phenomenal job always incorporating either the culture or books. From my memory, I remember this. Well, there's two things. One, my dad's brother married a Colombian woman.
Oh,
So my
okay.
aunt is Colombian from Bogota. And the reason that's why
Oh,
I'm adopted, because
from
she was like,
Bogota.
you should go to look in Colombia. Yeah. So my aunt is Colombian. So I always had that piece. My cousins are 50% Colombian and half Caucasian. So
So
that was
great.
always helpful.
Yeah.
But when I was like 5 years old, and I don't know if you remember this phase, like American Girl dolls were like a big deal.
Oh,
Oh my God. At least in the US, I don't know in Canada, but in the
no.
US, having an American Girl doll was like everything. And
Yeah.
my grandma and grandpa, who I loved, and they passed away when I was in high school, but adored, they were Irish and Italian.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So for Christmas one year, I got an American Girl doll. And the American Girl doll I had, granted, she's based in Mexico, but it's Josefina. And
Oh,
at the time, Josefina has dark hair like me. She has a long braid. She has little gold hoops, and I thought it was me. You know,
yeah.
I grew up in a suburb of Hartford, Connecticut, extremely not diverse,
Mm.
and I was the darkest kid in my school till about third grade. So
Oh,
getting a doll that looked like me
yeah.
changed everything. Like my
Yeah.
perspective, I was like, "Oh my God, they made this doll like we have the same skin color." And my friends in elementary school were very very Caucasian, blonde hair, blue
Yes.
eyes. They had brown hair and brown eyes, and I definitely stood out. So that was a memory that I had that I think my parents did to show me that I fit in, and to
It's huge.
support. And they always told, like, having a brother who's adopted too, we
Yeah.
are very close. We actually are still very close because
Yeah.
we get. So when we feel lost or confused, I wasn't alone. I think that helps a lot, knowing that you're not alone.
No.
He comes from the same place. And so my whole life I knew. And my parents did, again, saints on this planet. They purposely wanted us. They never held any information.
Yeah.
When I went to the orphanage when I was 13, I sat down with the woman with my file, and she said, ask me any questions. My mom was right there. My
Oh.
mom can ask whatever you want.
Oh.
Nothing they hid from me. um they just were open, and said, like, that you deserve, it's a culture, this is where you come from, you
Yeah.
deserve to know where you
Yeah.
come.
Yes,
So
and that she was 17 and
yeah.
you were wanted and that she made a very brave step to set you up for
Yes.
success and
Yeah.
so
And
like wonderful, wonderful. And there's
you
some
said
wonderful
that.
people in the chat too, like
I
Sarai saying she loved American Dolls and
Yeah.
Aaron is kindly helping donate here and so
Gosh,
there's
that
some magical people still in your back pocket creating phenomenal support
you.
out there.
Thank you. And Tracy, you said something very important that I would love to land with every.
Okay, let's do it.
My experience, and this does not correlate to every child's experience, but what I have was told, and this is a question I get a lot too. Would you ever do you have you ever met your parents, and would you ever try to meet them? I
Okay.
get questions a ton
Yeah.
as being adopted. And when I was 13 and sat across the table, I asked the same questions. Like, what would you do if you wanted to find? And the woman who meets all the mothers,
Oh.
she looked at me and said, we support all our FANA children with whatever decisions they make.
Mm.
However, and this has sat with me for over 15 years, she said, the mothers come through, and you pointed this out, making the biggest sacrifice of their life. And in this beautiful space, I wasn't abandoned in the sense that she left me somewhere.
On the
She,
doorstep.
yeah, like that's like that word, at least for fauna, is so not like great, even though in like English, because it sounds like she just left me somewhere. No, no, no. She planned and got prenatal care and made the ultimate sacrifice for me to live a better life.
Mm.
And so that came from a place of pure love and
Yeah.
selflessness. And for all the moms out there, I'm not a mother, but oh my gosh, I can't imagine that love how, and so young at
Yeah.
17 to think I can't provide what this child deserves, somebody else will. And
Yeah.
so it's so important because she made the most selfless act of love
Mm.
and brought me to a better life. And the woman who met my mother said her gift to you was to live a happy life and not to look backwards
Yeah.
and think, what about this? Or where are they? Or what's going on? Like, no, the gift was a better life. And
Yeah.
you have reached it. And
Yeah.
that is the best. And when people ask me, but don't you want to see? I think it would be nice to be able to have a bird's eye view and like a snow globe
Yeah.
of like her at the mailbox,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, she's good. And kind of like, but that's about it because my way of showing my gratitude is giving back now, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, like you gave me life and this incredible opportunity. I'm giving it back to
Yep.
the country, to the children. That would make her proud.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
know that, we are 3,000 away from our 30,000 goal,
Oh my
but that
gosh.
you personally raised in a
Yeah.
separate fundraiser 22,000. Uh,
Yeah,
and
to the world. I have another project going.
yeah, yeah,
What? Yeah, we're at like $23,000 in my personal So we've raised over $44,000 for this orphanage. My
together.
project, yeah, is actually the redesign, infrastructure, furniture for the infant and toddler rooms. That,
Oh,
yeah, so special. So that is my individual project.
yeah.
And it's like this incredible dream coming true for me.
Yes. And that your mom, by
Hmm.
being brave enough to give the ultimate sacrifice of a better life for you, she is a direct catalyst of the room being restructured for the toddlers and a direct cause for our
Yeah.
$30,000 project for the wellness of
Hmm.
so many. And it's just like if she hadn't have made that decision that day, these 14,000 orphans that have all come through there that will benefit from the differences that we're making now. And so
Yeah.
is so great. People are sending applause in the chat, and a cool thing that I'm doing for as well for people,
Mhm.
like to get incentive, fingers crossed, people are donating and just donating for donate sake. But the other incentive that I'm doing is what I'm calling a 50-50 draw, Grace, out there. So if they donate uh,
Mhm.
in there, then the money raised, what we'll do is we'll do 50% to the winner and 50% gets to go to FANA. Now, hopefully people donate just because they want to donate and make a
Love.
difference. But it is the holiday season. And so we do want it to be a little bit of fun. And I
Yeah.
will tell you, Grace, that a lot of people have said, if I win, I'm going to donate the winnings right back to
Oh,
FANA.
they
But no
all
pressure, no
yeah.
pressure. But that's what a lot of people are saying with the 50-50 draw. But it adds some fun. And so you can see I've got this tin here and I've been putting in all the names. And at 7 o'clock, I'm doing that draw. I'm pulling out a name. And I still have some new names that I get to put in the hat. You can see them on the paper. I have to rip them up and put them in.
Yep.
So I'm collecting them in the tin, and then I'll put them in my hat because that's what I said. I'll put the names in the hat and draw a name for the 50-50, which
Yeah.
is really exciting. So if
So excited.
in-kind donation is incredible. If you own something and you don't have the
Yeah.
money, but you don't need a certain thing, then you put it on Facebook Marketplace and let people know that you're selling this item to make a donation to FANA, and you sell it, and then the proceeds go to FANA. Like
Yeah.
there's really creative ways to make a donation, and like our friend walking in flippers through a forest.
Tammy, our
And
friend
then
Tammy.
Tammy, yeah, people paid her to put flippers on her feet, and they sponsored her money. They said, "Okay, I'll pay you $100 if you wear flippers in the forest,
Yeah.
and I'll pay you $200 if you go through
Yeah.
the mucky trails in your heels." And so people made donations. Somebody paid $10 for her to just do it in her runners, right? Like
That is
so. was very fun. So there's lots of creative ways
Right.
to get out there, but please do. We have a huge possibility when the money is raised by Thursday. It makes a really big impact. If we can meet our $30,000 target by Thursday,
Thursday.
there is a really big win. There's a really big possibility, a huge difference we can make pending we raise this last 3,000 by Thursday. And so better yet, let's just tear the stress band-aid off and raise 3,000 tonight.
Yeah.
So please, please, $10 or put items on Facebook Marketplace and sell it and then donate the proceeds to us, or enter the 50-50 draw. And in the comments, you'll see the donation link there, and I'll know to put your name in the hat. Every $10 gets a name in the hat. You'll see Catherine Smart donated $130. And
Catherine,
so,
thank you.
pretty amazing.
Wow.
So she gets 13 names in the tin, and we'll shake it up, right? And lots of people made donations, which is so great. John, we saw John in the chat. He donated.
Yep.
And so his name's in here a whole bunch of times. And so the winner will get the 50-50, 50 for the prize and 50 for FANA. To add some fun, I need to take a sip.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tracy, this is just, I've never felt so humbled, honored, and grateful in my life.
Yeah.
And it's the simple things in life that make us so happy. And as I get older, and I know I'm young, I mean, like, I know I'm almost 30. I just realize as I've gotten older that one decision, I mean, if you ever think of one decision changing your life, I mean, it wasn't even my decision, but how different my life could have been.
Yes.
Like, it's so, I'm like, oh my God, like, and here's the other thing too. And what I always think about this, and it keeps me going, but I have a biological brother that I know of.
Oh.
And he's I would say maybe 18 months older than me.
Oh.
And when my mother, biological mother, was placing me for adoption, oftentimes mothers place siblings together.
Yeah.
However, she said that she had grown too attached to him and that she couldn't take care of two children.
Oh.
And so she kept him.
Oh.
And I was placed for adoption. And I think what always kind of, like, I always think like, oh, I hope he turned out okay. Like, I got such a, at the time, I mean, again, at the time in Colombia, I mean, still not great, but much better than it was. But I think still it's a country that it was always filled with war and drugs and violence. And I can only hope that he had a chance to have a good life.
Yes.
And so it sometimes I can't believe it, right? Like, one of us got my beautiful life, and I just hope he did, but I don't know. And so that's something that always motivates me to really make the best, find the silver lining in every situation, and every opportunity I am presented, I take it. Like, I just truly, that always sits with me. And I truly hope that they are okay. And it's fun. My mom, you say, like, my mom, every Mother's Day, every birthday, and on her birthday, my mom used to make me say a little prayer or a moment of silence for her, because she says it's Mother's Day and your mother will be thinking of you always on my birthday, how hard of a day it must be for her. And so every birthday, her birthday and Mother's Day, I always take a moment of silence, of gratitude, and thank her, because I live such a beautiful life because of her.
Because of her, you're making me cry.
I know, I'm making myself cry, but it's the feeling of, like,
this woman,
like, and 17. Half the time I'm 29 and I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner today. Like she was 17. So
wonderful. Oh my gosh, Grace, thank you so much for sharing your story. And people, please share these links. And what we know really works is not so much this live video, but is the personal reach out. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to share Grace with the world.
Hmm.
Now what I do is I say a loving goodbye to Grace, and I reach out to people in Messenger directly and
Yep.
say, will you please make a difference for this incredible abandoned orphanage? Uh, and often we'll do these things because you love me, you love Unstoppable Tracy, or you love Grace, and there are people out there that really love you. And
Hmm.
so if you are kind enough and generous enough to make the request, please donate to this incredible abandoned orphanage individually in the messenger. That would mean the world. And I have a bracelet was donated, and it's a pink bracelet with a silver heart.
Hmm.
Possibly you make a donation and I send you the bracelet, or some paintings have been delivered, but the paintings are tricky. Like I can't send them to Germany or US, but if there's a Canadian that wants to buy the paintings, then I can ship it. Canada's postage. The donator is in Barrie, so maybe somebody in Ontario wants to donate to buy the paintings, or just donate because you know it's going to make a difference to these abandoned children that are really loved. The nurses are there 30 years later volunteering. The nurse that held Grace in her arms is still there all these years later. That's the kind of magic and love and heart-centered place that FANA is, and that it was born out of a woman bringing the children off the street into her home and growing. And so certainly, please make whatever donation you can, whatever way you can, get creative. And we would certainly very much thank you, and donate in the next 30 minutes or so, as to be part of the 50-50 draw. And maybe your $10 donation now, your $50 donation now wins the $800 pot, and then you get to donate $400 back. So you might not feel like you have enough, but by donating now and winning the pot, you could donate the proceeds back. And maybe it's as much as 900 now. So maybe now it's $4, 450 each. The 50-50 draw is growing. So every donation makes an impact.
I
And
love you, Tracy.
I
Thank
love
you.
Grace. Thank
Thank
you.
the world for listening to my story. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.